If you have any ideas or if you want to partner up with Mike, you can hit him up on, we'll get to that a little bit later, but you're pretty reachable. So.
I'm very reachable. Mike at Blumenthals.com, Mike at GatherUp.com, and M. Blumenthal on Twitter.
We're super lucky to have this video sponsored by Zoic. Please watch their ad and support them.
Using their AI and all of the different tools that they have, we're actually able to increase our revenues 3, 4, and 5 times.
We're not only weathering the storm, but we're actually growing right now.
All right, let's talk about your current passion. I think it's gonna be your passion for a long time. I don't think you're ever gonna, retail and local has been in your blood forever, so.
That's right.
So, and one of the topics you want to talk about was reviews and review attributes. So how important is that stuff?
So reviews are even more important than I think the SEO industry gives them credit for, because most SEO approach reviews as a tactical way of standing out on Google. Getting a few more reviews hopefully will lead to a better rank, but reviews do much more than that. And so I've always been fascinated by the relationship between the consumer, the business, and Google and other review sites around the idea that consumers can now express their opinions about any business. So when they had a complaint, used to be they'd say 10 people would hear about it. Now 1,000 or 10,000 people can read about it, and the complaint stays there for almost ever. So and that initially made small businesses very uncomfortable.
Yep.
So when we built GatherUp, we built it to help them feel comfortable in this environment, because reviews, as my shirt says, listening is a business superpower, and reviews are a way to listen to your customers.
Right.
And if you listen carefully, you can learn a lot. And they talk about you in a language that you can then repurpose that content for website content, for social content. So reviews can become a content driver. Reviews can become a management driver, because in reviews are the insights you need to improve. So they're not just a way to get increased rank at Google. They're a way to tell your brand story sort of in partnership with your customers, which to me is a brilliant idea, because it holds everybody accountable at some level. And I think the businesses that succeed in this environment are better businesses.
You said so many things in that small little clip of time. So let's first, I remember people they had cartoons, person comes to a restaurant, they have on their shirt, Yelp reviewer, and they get the meal for free, and they get the best service and stuff like that. It kind of businesses were threatened significantly by local review websites. Now, I think you don't really see that with Google Maps per se. I mean, it's just businesses know, restaurants know that they have to treat their customers well, or else it's going to be on there forever. It's not going to go away. And that's a good thing for consumers. It's a scary thing for businesses. But what you said also is that if management, trains the staff right, trains their employees right, and there's a culture of treating your customers with respect and honesty and just doing what you want for yourself, for your customers, then that will just lead organically to great reviews and so forth. If not, you're going to see bad reviews on your listings, and you're going to have new management come in and fix it all. So listening is important, but as long as you treat your customers well, you treat them like you want to be treated. And my father always told me, customers are always right, no matter what.
I would argue with that to some extent. In the review world, they're not always right. I mean, there's a number of situations. But to me, though,
but they're right to the person who's reading it.
To me, though, even if you get a complaint is a building block for a better business. And so reviews should not be viewed as a threat, and they should be viewed as a rich resource that a business can use in a number of different ways. Content is one. Content's always hard in local.
Yeah.
Because you build a site, what are you going to talk about? Blogging is difficult in local. And I think that reviews are a way to keep your site content fresh. And one of the cool things we did at GatherUp was we designed widgets that we can auto-segment based on topic, and then topically stream those reviews in real time to the website. So if you're an insurance agent and you want reviews about your motorcycle insurance on your motorcycle page, reviews about car insurance on your car page, and they're fresh, they stream in real time.
That's amazing.
So it's a great content strategy.
Yeah, and then I know I spoke to a lot of local SEOs in the past few years or so, and they're like, not only reviews are a great content strategy, but now that Google added this Q&A feature, you don't want your competitors responding to Q&A and stuff.
Right.
Reviews, you want to make sure to respond to them as best as you can, but using that as a content driver is, like you said, most stores are pretty boring. You don't own a flower shop. What are you going to write about on your blog or on your website? But if a customer drops you a nice review or drops something interesting, a nice question that you might have about your business or a certain type of flower or whatever, it might spark an idea for you to write some content that might drive more traffic organically to your site.
Absolutely. I think also they can be used to understand your competitors, which is interesting to me because particularly with the new review attributes that Google has rolled out since last fall, and this spring, right in the middle of COVID, about April 15th, they expanded it to another 300 or so categories of service type businesses. It's a structured review format where Google asks if you give a 4 or 5 star review, they give you 4 or 5 attributes that you like, could like, and likewise if you leave a negative review, they give you 4 or 5 that you didn't like. But it's very structured and it's very consistent, and it's a way for you to look at your business in a structured way and compare it to a competitor. So not only is it direct content, not only does it suggest content like you talked about, but it also can provide competitive intelligence. And as you pointed out, these review attributes can provide intent-driven keyword concepts to drive additional content on your website.
Yeah, I think we first saw that, maybe I'm wrong, but in hotel results, where if you did a review where you want to look what's kid-friendly, what's business-friendly, how's the internet service, and stuff like that.
Well, interestingly, I went back and did a little research, and I did a presentation the other day on review attributes, and I learned that the first time they did segmentation like that of reviews was with Hot Pot in 2010.
Hot Pot.
It was the first attempt by Google to personalize local results.
Okay.
So they had review attributes then, and they did it again when they bought Zagat in 2012. They had attributes.
So Zagat had that already in there.
They had it already, but then they rolled it into reviews. Both of those fell by the wayside, and then in 2015 they bought third-party attributes, and then about a year and a half ago they rolled those out directly into Google Reviews in hotels. So it's actually no idea Google ever is lost. They sort of resurface. And I was fascinated when I went back and read my blog that I found so many instances of review attributes.
That's true. How often do you do that? Like you're like looking something up back in the day and you're like, wait a second, I thought I wrote about this like 20 years ago. Do a search on your own blblog. Wait, I did.
Actually, I do a search on Google, with a site colon to see if I did write about it because I can't even remember
anymore. Right?
half the ones I wrote about.
It's just funny. It's awesome.
And the other site colon I do is your site.
So I do write a lot about local. I find local to be so fascinating, mostly because I love change and following change. And in the past, probably several years, there's nothing that has changed with Google more, I think, than local.
So I started documenting that shift when local split from Plus. In the end of 2015, you could start seeing the feature sets growing dramatically. And clearly the investment was growing dramatically. The investment, at least in new features.
Right, not spam.
But the investment did not grow commensurately with spam abatement. But starting in late 2015, early 2016, features started coming fast and furious. And since then, they've invested heavily. And you can see this, that Google has built a local environment that is more immersive, where it's hard to get off Google to go to the website, right? You go deeper and deeper into Google, particularly in travel, but also in a whole other restaurants, all these other areas, hotels. But they've also built much more transactions. I mean, so in local, the 3 big trends are visual, much more emphasis on photographs, much more emphasis on this immersion, keeping people on the site, not sending them off, and much more emphasis, and you're seeing this particularly in restaurants of late, with transactions.
Order pickup. Just a couple months ago, they started order pickup, and even like calling the restaurant, booking a reservation. It does it for you too now automatically using what's that technology?
Duplex.
Yes.
And Google ended up buying a couple of back-end order entry systems and now built their own restaurant order, online order system that they control the front end and the back end. And historically, they've partnered on those things, but now
they've done that. So I'm going to partner with them.
Right.
I'm like, you're screwed. They're partnering with you. You're done. Give yourself a few years and that's it. They started with MapQuest. Was the first, not MapQuest. What was the first place they got their map data from? Was it MapQuest? Was the interface?
I don't remember, but I remember they were scraping Superpage's categories by agreement.
Yeah, the reviews, stealing reviews from Yelp and stuff.
Right.
This stuff is
there's a pretty historic pattern of figuring out what people testing with a third-party data. Once it works, then building it out themselves.
And I wonder if they even pay these guys that much. I always wondered. Because I had a bunch of companies come to me. I want to build this type of local search feature. Let's say it's like COVID related or whatever it might be. I'm like, Google's going to wipe you off the planet in 5 seconds once they see this feature. It doesn't take much. They know who's in the stores, when they are. They can just ask, were their masks being worn in the store? You know, they pop up those things all the time when you go to a certain location. So it's very interesting, which I think it brings us into a nice segue of what works. I know you're a big tactics guy. What works?